Hi, I'm Amy Moskowitz. I'm your reference manager at Haverford Township Free Library, and I'm here today to talk to you about one of my favorite books of all time. While we're social distancing at home, let's live vicariously through Sarah Vowell while she goes on vacation. Assassination Vacation is not your typical vacation. Vanity Fair called it, quote, part history lesson, part hilarious travelogue, and, quote, a far-out trip into America's storied past, unquote. The book, as you may have guessed by now, is a road trip through the first three political assassinations of Presidents Lincoln, Garfield, and McKinley. Buckle up, kids. This is not your typical history book. It mixes humor, history, and the macabre into a captivating story you may not have learned in school. The book takes us from Buffalo to Baltimore and from Long Branch, New Jersey to Alaska, exploring all of the places which were important sites in the stories of these presidential deaths. What I liked was visiting these stories through the lens of Vowell's history. These places where I've been before kind of took on a new life when I kind of saw them through these presidential deaths. It also takes a deep dive into the assassinations, the assassins, and the worlds in which all of this played out in these men's lives and deaths. Vowell omits what the New York Times called the catnip quote, which is the Kennedy assassination, for perhaps these less known Garfield and McKinley ones. She writes, quote, the story of Garfield's death is more interesting than the story of his life, unquote. Then she goes into it in detail. I appreciated this, having known little about Garfield and McKinley's life prior to reading this book. Vowell, who you may recognize from NPR's This American Life, or if you'll listen to the audiobook, the voice of Violet in The Incredibles, starts out at Ford's Theater, staring up at Lincoln's box from her balcony seat, and ends at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. In the 250 pages, approximately, that or so in between, I can't help but be transported back in time every time I read this book. History buffs will certainly like it, but I'd recommend it to other nonfiction readers as well. What brings me back to this book time and time again, every time I read it, is Vowell's sense of humor. For a topic that you wouldn't normally think of as humorous, Vowell brings me to tears almost every time I read it. She has an amazing sense of humor. She has cynicism and wit, and really for these topics that you don't normally think of as funny, she really makes them humorous and comical. She also brings out things that you don't learn in your history book, and really I learn something new every time I read this book. I'm a huge Sarah Vowell fan. And I met her a few years ago at the Free Library, and she signed my book. Some of my other favorite books of hers include Lafayette in the Somewhat United States and The Wordy Shipmates. These are two other very worthwhile books of hers, but I would recommend starting with Assassination Vacation. You definitely won't miss out by starting with this book. It's available in audiobook version on Hoopla. If you need any assistance accessing Hoopla, we have a wonderful Tech Time with Catherine that you can access on Facebook, so take advantage of that. Or you can call the reference desk at 610-446-3082, Monday through Friday from 10 to 5. And we can help you access Hoopla and access the audiobook version of Assassination Vacation while you're home. Please let us know any other books that you're reading in the comments. Thanks.